So
Please.
I'm going to talk on cataract with glaucoma. When do we do a cataract surgery or a combined surgery? So no financial disclosures, and we all know that cataract and glaucoma is the leading cause of blindness and is the most common ocular condition associated with the aging process, and the prevalence is increasing due to increasing lifespan. And we also know that there's an increased risk of nucleosclerotic cataract with elevated IOP and with the use of glaucoma medications. So what are the surgical approaches to managing this combined disease? You have the cataract extraction alone with IOL implantation, then you have the sequential surgery. There is a two-step procedure where you do a trap first, followed by cataract surgery later. Then you have a combined surgery, that is a cataract plus glaucoma in the same sitting. So when do we do a cataract surgery? What are the indications for that? We should have a visually disability cataract with IOP under good control. There should be a mild glaucomatous damage, minimal visual field loss. Patient is on one or two well-tolerated anti-glaucoma topical medications, and the patient is also compliant with these anti-glaucoma medications. The advantage is that there's a long-term IOP reduction in IOP of up to 5 years. There's less need of post-operative medications. There is small reduction in IOP by 1 to 3 millimeters after the surgery. Disadvantages being there's an early post-operative IOP rise, especially within 24 hours and max within 2 hours post-operatively. So you need a close monitoring and prophylactic medical treatment for that. Combined surgery, there is a triple procedure. The indications are cataract with glaucoma patients. When you have failure to achieve the target pressure by medications, the issues related to compliance, adherence, or drug-induced side effects. When you have a borderline controlled IOP, disease progression, or an advanced glaucomatous optic atrophy, despite maximum medical therapy, or an uncontrolled glaucoma, but an urgent need to restore vision when two separate operations are not feasible. So advantages, it eliminates the need for two separate surgeries. Early post-operative IOP rise is significantly less. There's visual improvement there's improvement in both visual acuity and IOP, and there's a decrease in the number of glaucoma medications. So coming to the surgical considerations, what are the surgical considerations? Preoperatively, we should first analyze what is the significant visual loss, what is the cause, whether it is due to cataract or glaucoma. So accordingly, we have to counsel the patient. Then you have to do a perfect slit lamp examination, look for pseudo exfoliation, shallow AC, myotic pupil, etc. Fundus examination, always look whether the vision loss is due to glaucomatous neuropathy or due to any other macular pathology. When you consider the intraoperative considerations, you always, most of the time, the glaucoma specialists come across with myotic pupil. So be prepared to use one of these pupil expansion devices like ring suits or expanders, or to manage to use the small pupil strategies, even if you're doing a small incision cataract surgery. Viscoelastic sodium hyaluronate, it maintains the flat AC and deepens the anterior chamber, but it should be thoroughly washed to avoid post-operative IOP spike. HPMC causes less post-operative IOP elevation when you compare with other high-density viscoelastic. The capsule axis should be of adequate size of 5 to 6 millimeters, and the IOL selection that will be very careful not to be used AC IOL at all. Now, techniques for cataract surgery alone, the cataract lesion should be positioned to maximize the future bleb survival whenever needed. So clear cornea temporal location is preferred, avoid much of the conjunctival handling, and if possible, keep the superior conjunctival area virgin so that we can have a future trap if at all needed, the area is still raw. Now, techniques for combined surgery, you have the single site, which is the SICS phaco plus trap, that is done to the same site. It involves less surgical time. Then you have the two-site technique, wherein the phaco is done through a separate clear corneal temporal incision as the first step, followed by trap as the superior levers. The only problem is it involves slightly more time when we compare with the single site technique. So just showing a small video clip of both the single site as well as the twin site technique. I think just 1 minute. I'll just make sure that the video is playing. Can somebody just guide me, Nikhil? How much time do I have left?
6 minutes.
I have ample amount of time. Okay, no problem. So this is a video showing the single side technique on the top and the two side technique at the bottom. So most important step is you always take a proper bridal suture, whether you want to take a superior bridal suture or you want to take a corneal traction suture. These sutures are very important as to give a better exposure. Always mark your conjunctival site with the help of a caliper. Never do the surgery without marking the conjunctival flap size. So always mark it. When I'm doing an SICS, I usually take 6 millimeter. And when I'm doing a phaco, I take 3.5 to 4 millimeter. You mark your conjunctival site, do a subconjunctival band dissection, identify the bleeders and cauterize only the bleeders. Do a gentle cautery, don't overdo the cautery, because whenever you overdo the cautery, after you create the spiral flap, there will be shrinkage of the spiral flap. So be gentle when you're doing the cautery. Again, mark your scleral area to make the scleral flap. And if you are going to use any antimetabolite, the take-home message what I would give for that is don't use cotton sponge, use a wax sponge to use metabolite, because and count the number of species of wax sponge you are putting on the bare sclera, and always to count and take it out. The time, the concentration depends on what the case, the way you are dealing with. So always thoroughly wash the anti-metabolite, then start making the scleral flap. Now the trick to make the scleral flap is you want to apex with the scleral flap and just raise the apex with the help of a 15 number blade. Once you have done that, then just stretch the scleral flap and just touch the cutting edge of the 15 number blade, and you get you start go on doing that, and you get a smooth, uniform superior the scleral flap. Once you come with the scleral flap, then when you're doing a twin side surgery, shift temporarily and do a clear corner phaco, a routine phaco as how you have been used to it. And if you're doing an SICS trap with a single side or a single side phaco trap, once you created the scleral flap, make the entry side ports and start your routine cataract surgery the way you have been doing it. For SICS tunnel, once you have made the superior scleral flap, make the two lateral pockets, make the side port, and then with the help of a keratome, do the entry and do the normal SICS steps. And as I told you earlier also, that most of the time we as glaucoma surgeons come across with small pupils. So we have to be prepared pre-operatively that how we are going to manage these small pupils. So you can see this was a case, I planned a malign ring. Now again, when we look at the rings for expanders, the expanders of the malign ring or the BH does wonder, because we are implanting those expansion devices to the same main entry which we have created, and we are not creating multiple entries as what we do for the iris hooks. So now the rexis is done. You can see that the cataract steps have been followed. So all the steps, I mean, there's no special technique of how you are going to do your cataract surgery, which whatever technique you are comfortable with, whether it's a hard cataract, whether it's cataract with pseudo exfoliation, whether it is soft cataract, whatever type of cataract, you do the way you have been doing it. Just make sure don't have a prolonged surgical time, because a prolonged surgical time is going to make what is going to happen is any iris touch or any fluidic the fluids will be hitting the iris tissue, and that will cause more prostaglandin release. So the success of your surgery will reduce. So try to do as fast as possible. Once you have done the cataract surgery and implanted the IOL, you can make the internal ostium as you saw in the superior case, that you can do it with the help of 11 number blade or a Kelly sponge or an MVR, whatever sharp instrument you are comfortable with. Usually make a 2x2 or 2x1 internal ostium. And once this internal ostium is done, the superior PI is done, and then the sutures are implanted. So you can see the phaco trap, that is the twin side. I'm making the internal ostium with the help of 11 number blade. 2x1 internal size internal ostium is being made, and once the internal ostium is created, the peripheral iridotomy is done. The trick to avoid the repeated iris prolapse is don't overinflate the anterior chamber with the help of viscoelastic substance. Just make sure there's an adequate visco in the AC. This will prevent the iris from repeatedly prolapsing into the surgical site. Now, scleral flap suture, you can put one releasable, two releasable, or intermittent. It is up to you. The trick to plant the releasable sutures I already shown. You pass one suture parallel to the limbus, then from the limbus perpendicular to the limbus into the scleral flap, and then from the scleral flap into the intact sclera. Take 4 throws and then tie it as a shoelace form. So it is up to you whether you want to use one releasable, two releasable, and one intermittent, or only one releasable suture. So once you have put the releasable suture, the suture next is the suturing of the conjunctival tissue. That is very, very important. Always take the episcleral bite or the limbal bite, so that your conjunctiva is anchored to the limbus, so that there is no bleb retraction. If you do that and tightly tighten the suture, make a tight flap, there won't be any leakage from the limbal side. And this is the way you are going to do your combined surgery. So variations, I already told you what are the variations on making the internal flap. You can cut the trabecular meshwork either with the help of an MVR or with the help of a Kelly sponge. Whatever you are comfortable with, you can use it. So these are the different ways of making the internal ostium, but I'm quite sure most of them are using Kelly sponge, and please do continue with whatever you're comfortable with. And here I end my presentation. Thanks a lot.